1, 2 over 1. And now you have taken the rook. And even if you're over here, I'll show you with the black one. 1, 2. I'm not even going to do it that way. You can do it any direction you want to. 1, 2. Let me show you. 1, 2 over 1. And now you have taken another knight. So remember, the knight goes 1, 2 over 1. As long as it's not moving diagonal and it's only horizontal and then vertical, or vertical and then horizontal, you can move 1, 2 over 1 however you want to. So I'll show you one more time. 1, 2 over 1. And now you took another knight. So that, my friend, is how you move the knight. It's the hardest piece to remember. But honest, it's one of the harder pieces to remember. But honestly, if you know it, it's going to be very fruitful because you can jump over other pieces from it. All right, now we have the last two pieces, the rooks and the pawns. So how do the rooks move? Well, the rooks are like a compass. So, if you notice how the rooks are placed, this is an easy way to remember it. They go vertical from each other and horizontal from each other. Files and ranks. So north, south, east, west. So how do the rooks move? Well, surprisingly, it's easy to remember. Files and ranks. North, south, east, west. So just how the queen can move north, south, east, west and diagonally, exact same thing, but not diagonally. So if this pawn is, let's say, missing, it can move up, down, left, right. Which piece can the rook take? If it goes up, keyword up, down, left, right. This rook, if you guessed correctly, could take this pawn because it moved up 7 squares from 1 to 7 and took the pawn. Just give you another example just so you can remember. So now, I'll move this over here. This rook, which two pawns could this rook take? Well, if you answered h5, that's obvious, but also d7. So this one, from over here, if it's over here, this one. Because it moves diagonally? No, it doesn't move diagonally. Tricked you, but no, it moves horizontally and vertically. So as long as it's going horizontal and vertical, it can go as far as it wants to, as long as it's not blocked by another piece. And that's how you move the rook. Finally, we have the pawns. The pawns work in a special way. There's 3 ways we have to know how they move. Now for now, I would just remember out of part 2 how these back row pieces work. In the next episode, which will be part 3, we will go over how the pawns move, en passant, checkmate, which is how you win the game, stalemate, and finally, everything else. So that you have everything you need to know how to play. So this is the end of part 2. Now we're going to part 3. Part 3. So last time we went over these 5 pieces. The rook, the knight, the bishop, the king, and the queen. But how do we move the pawns? Well, since we're foot soldiers, we're very confusing. No joke intended. So, knowing this, here's how the pawns move. If your pawn or your opponent's is still on the 7th or the 2nd rank where it originally starts at the beginning of the game, well, if you think about medieval battles, they always go like, charge! Well, when you charge at your opponent, you're going to move very quickly at first. So when someone's charging, they can move 2 squares instead of 1. That's a charge. But how I remember it is you could charge or you could lead. So you go 2 squares up, and remember, the pawns can only move forward. They cannot move backwards. So basically, a pawn is like a checker piece. It has to get to the other side first. Or, if you wanted to, it could just move one square. Like the F pawn. It can move, if you wanted to, from F2 to F3. Or if you want to charge it, it could go from F2, as I said, 2 squares, to F4. That's how you move a pawn. Now, when a pawn is fighting, or going to kill another piece, or take another piece, however you want to say it, keep it PG, is it cannot take forward. So if a piece, any piece, it could be a rook, it could be another pawn, it could even be a knight. Any piece that's in front, it cannot take. But the good part about this is that if it's one square diagonal, you could take it. So right now, the F4 pawn, what 2 pieces can it take? If you said the G5 and the E5 pawns, you are correct. Now, one piece it can't take that's obvious is the knight, because the knight is 1 square in front of it. It can never take 1 square in front of it, only diagonal, and then move forward as far as you wanted to, or you could move it. All right. So that's how you move a pawn. Now we have to go into secret rules or special rules that are very important to understand in the game. Because if you don't, you can't play with, like I said before, nomenclature, knowing how to play. So, first thing you got to understand is one of the key objectives of chess is to protect your king. Why? Well, if you lose your king or get your king trapped, that's how you lose the game, and that's called checkmate. And if your king's under attack but isn't trapped and it can get out of the attack, then that is called check. So if you're in check, you have to stop it before you lose or your king dies. Or, if you're in checkmate, the game is over. Your king is not just attacked, but it's also trapped, and the game is inevitably over. Knowing this, what is check? Well, to show you simply, all right, let's do a simple game where you see a check. So, king, for white pieces, which always move first, there's a whole story behind that, we'll get into that a little later. But when the white pieces go first, white goes E4. Black goes F5. But then, all of a sudden, the queen goes to H5. Now, the queen could move diagonally. So since the queen is attacking, key word, only attacking, not trapping, but attacking, as you can see, diagonally, the king would be considered in check. Now, there's 3 ways to get out of check. Either you move out of it, you wanted to like this, you move out of check, you block the check with another piece, in this case the pawn, or, if it was the situation, you could take the piece, and that'll put you out of check. One thing to know, if you're in check by 2 pieces, which is technically called a double check, the only way you can get out of it is to move out of it, the first option, which is to move. Finally, we have checkmate. So checkmate means the game is over and there's nothing you can do. Your king is trapped, you're done, basically. So, what's an example of checkmate? So then, white goes E4, black goes G5, right? And remember, you can't move into a check. That's also illegal. But knowing that, white goes D4, but then black makes a horrible mistake. He goes F5. Knowing that, The queen just moves from d1 to h5, and he's checkmated. Now, why is this checkmate? Well, it's a quick checkmate for sure. It's free moves, but it's checkmate because the king is being attacked, and it can't move. Can it move? Now, think, there's three ways you can get out of check. You could take the queen that's attacking it. There's no piece that's capable of taking it right now. The queen is stuck, the other queen is stuck, the bishop and the knight and rook are back here, and the pawns aren't even near it. So, you can't take it. You could block it. But you can't block here because there's no piece to block. All the pieces are stuck. And then, you could take it, you can move out of the way. But the only way the king can move is the f7. And f7 is still attacked by the queen. So, this, my friend, would be checkmate, and the game would be over. Just like that. Another example of checkmate would be what's called Anastasia's mate, which looks like this. All right, this is Anastasia's mate. So look. On my phone.
Hey, brother.
What's up? Is this even interesting? So, as you can see, I'm just going over the demo video on my phone.
Hey guys, you go with that.
You guys have beat tonight?
Well, he's in here practicing, but
You want to go with it?
I'm sorry.
Or he can go.
I'll go, yeah, it's all right.
You're already set up, right?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
This would be, my fault, back to video. So this would be Anastasia's mate. So, as you can see, the king is under attack by the knight because it moves in L. 1, 2, over 1, as we talked about before. So knowing that, where could the king move? Well, it can't take anything because the queen's all the way over here. And there's no piece that can take the knight. The king can't move because it's smothered. It's smothered by its own pieces. There's nowhere it can move in this situation. As well as it can't move out of the way, it can't take, and honestly, it can't, there's just no way to get out, so it's checkmate, because the king has nowhere to move and it's under attack. That's the key. If it's only under attack, it's considered check. But if it's being attacked and it's trapped and it can't get out of it, that's checkmate. So there's a difference between check and checkmate. Check, you can get out of it. Checkmate, the game is over. So that's a key concept to remember. All right, next thing you gotta understand. Go back. So that's checkmate. That's check. Check is like a warning. Checkmate is like the end of the game. You lost, right? Or you could have checkmated your opponent and you win. Now we have to go over some technicals. So we have to go over castling en passant, the final three rules of a game before you can be truly understand how to play this game.